So we're at that point of the season where a lot of transfer moves were made in the summer. We've had the first kind of salvo of domestic and, cup competitions, international and otherwise. And now we're in this international break, and it's a great opportunity, perhaps the best opportunity, to reflect on the top 10 transfers around Europe that no one is talking about, that have been a wild success. In the video today, I preview 6 guys from Champion Europe who have made a kind of step up in class, and they've actually grabbed the bull by the horns and really shown their worth, and they're guys that I'm really excited to watch as the season progresses. And with all the new competitions that are coming out, these champion cards have got more and more play power in the SO5 arena as time's rolling on. The other 4 guys are from Challenger Euro, and they're not really much of a secret, much of a surprise or anything like that. But again, all of them in slightly different situations in terms of what they're going to offer for the rest of this season, as well as maybe their outlook further and beyond that. At any point in the video today, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and let's get stuck into it. We'll get the first one out of the way because he's an old favourite of this channel, and we've been speaking about him again quite recently because of his form. And Brais Mendez has grabbed the bull by the horns this season. He's transferred from Celta Vigo to Sociedad. I was pretty worried about the transfer initially because Celta Vigo played a very particular style in midfield, and I wasn't sure how Brais was going to translate that into life at Sociedad. But wow, Sociedad have actually adapted to Brais. The midfield shape that they're playing is very similar to that at Celta Vigo. And Brais Mendez recently made some headlines with his penalty goal against Manchester United. Since he's transferred into Real Sociedad, he has been an ever-present creative playmaker for them, and making a real claim for him to be recognised as one of the best players in La Liga. And on the form he's on at the moment, he is absolutely undeniable. Now, Brais Mendez looks like one of these players who's maybe a bit flimsy and a bit weak on the ball, but he's very tenacious. He's always really happy to get stuck into tackles. He's not a stranger to a yellow card, let's say, and his contribution at the top end of the pitch in a very unselfish way with goals and assists. He's a fantastic team player, very versatile, creative midfielder, and I think if he keeps these numbers up, we're eventually going to see the good and the great of European football come round and asking Sociedad what the price is for him. Brais Mendez, great start to the season, and I can't wait to see what else comes. Now, the next guy has a little bit of a funny story around him in a few different ways. Not necessarily an old favourite of my channel, but certainly a cult figure, as it were, on John Nellis's channel, and that is Grischa Promel. Now, Grischa Promel was a main man last season at Union Berlin as they began their rise to prominence, and in January it was announced that he would be moving to Hoffenheim, and you might not think Union Berlin to Hoffenheim, that's what a transfer, but Grischa Promel, if you actually watch him, he is a dominating midfielder, number 8, who goes box to box, does everything, makes the entire team tick over. The level he's managed to increase his game by this season at Hoffenheim is very noteworthy. At 27 years of age, he is coming into the prime of his career. At a team like Hoffenheim, who normally do qualify for some sort of European football, didn't this year, becoming the main man in midfield in a side that's always very tactically dynamic, tactically very forward thinking, and subsequently always really happy to go on and try and score goals. He's became a main player for them, and I think he'll come out this year as one of the stories of the Bundesliga. I'm always a big fan of midfielders that are all action players that can do absolutely everything, go all the way around every corner of the pitch, interact with the play, whether it's recovering possession, playing passes, launching counter-attacks, getting in on the end of set pieces, whatever. And Grischa Promel really literally is the all-action midfielder at Hoffenheim at the moment. Now, over the last couple of years, we're seeing more and more of a re-emergence in Asian talent come across European football, but I don't think anyone is quite breaking through into the elite end of European football quite the same way as Min Jae. The dominating huge centre-back just transferred in from Fenerbahce already is pulling up trees in Serie A. Serie A is one of these divisions that's always very conducive to allowing the best defenders shine, and Min Jae already in Champions League football as well as in Serie A has proven that Napoli do not need Kalidou Koulibaly. As you can see, he has been a huge part in a fantastic run that Napoli's had at the start of the season, undefeated. Now, this is a transfer that wasn't on many major clubs' radar because Min Jae currently at 25, isn't seen as an up-and-coming, kind of wonder kid for the future. The way Asian youth football typically works is players do typically break through in their early 20s as opposed to their late teens, and subsequently, if they are going to make the trip into Europe and then into the elite end, they're kind of up against the clock in that respect as well. But Min Jae is showing it doesn't matter. If you're good enough, you can do it. Honestly, I think by the end of this season, where we're talking about huge centre-backs in this summer making transfers across Europe, like Rudiger and Koulibaly and whatever, and Min Jae still at 25, by the end of the World Cup, maybe 26, is a prime candidate to perhaps make a massive elite transfer after this one. The Napoli transfer moving up from Fenerbahce to Napoli is a big jump, as is moving from the K-League to the Turkish League, and every step this guy's made successfully and with aplomb, so I look forward to watching this guy throughout the rest of the season and seeing how well he does progress. Now, over the last couple of years, Borussia Dortmund have been absolutely crying out for some sort of defensive playmaker player that can, in midfield, that can actually win tackles and can be a defensive influence, a defensive rearguard. And in the summer, we were talking about it earlier in the channel throughout the summer months, but Salih Ozcan has transferred into Dortmund, and it feels like it's been a smooth integration thus far. A little bit of kind of hiccups in terms of how he's actually appeared and whatnot, as you'll see a couple of appearances from the bench early season, carrying an injury from the summer, and he plays pretty much 90 minutes in any match where the clean sheet's still available or they're really looking to keep defending. The only time he has really been subbed off is when they're going more attacking in a match and they're going to try and break the win, as it were. But Salih Ozcan already is coming in. He's complimenting guys like Bellingham, Julian Brandt, Marco Reus, I know has picked up an injury, as is Haller. But as we see guys like Adeyemi come into the fore, as well as some of these other guys, Gio Reyna showing a lot of promise, I think Salih Ozcan in that defensive midfield position, in a team that will dominate the possession in a lot of their matches, create lots of opportunities, they're very forward thinking and very attack minded, and this guy wins tackles and interceptions, he does the dirty work and he picks up those points on a regular basis also. I think he's been an absolute amazing signing so far as the ones that have happened this summer, and again, this guy is the limit for Dortmund if they can really nail down that midfield formation that really helps them defend and attack, just like the Dortmund of old. Now, AC Milan won their first Scudetto in forever last season, and the big gaping hole in that team last season, and still kind of is, was Brahim Diaz. In a lot of games where AC Milan were really dominant, they weren't making as many chances as they should have, and subsequently weren't scoring as many goals as they should have. In the summer, kind of under the radar, they brought in Belgian wonder kid, the next heir apparent to the Belgian wonder kid line of people that have been coming out over the last 10 years, and that is Charles de Ketelaere. Now, Charles de Ketelaere's SO5 scores here admittedly are not overly credible, but if you watch AC Milan, he has integrated seamlessly into the team and as an attacking threat in an AC Milan squad that is young, is up and coming, does have a lot of great talent in attack as well as midfield and defence. I think this is one of the transfers that, we're seeing some green shoots of it already, but as the rest of this season rolls on and then we move into the future there and beyond, this will be seen as a transfer that was an absolute steal. The rest of the AC Milan defence and attack is in a great position in terms of their profile and their development in their career, in terms of their age and stage of their progression. And along with Rafael Leao, Charles de Ketelaere, Alex Salomakers, Sandro Tonali, Benacer, Junior Messias, there's a lot of great talent, Theo Fernandez, that could be gelling together, and we might see a great push in Europe from AC Milan over the next year or two on the back of this squad. Now, I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of La Liga football, and one of the most exciting attacking players in La Liga so far this season has been Samuel Lino. The Brazilian is on loan from Atletico Madrid to Valencia, and under Gattuso's kind of revamped, rebooted Valencia, he has been the number one attacking threat that's came in and replaced Goncalo Guedes. Now, Samuel Lino actually looks like an elite level talent, and at 22, he's really been desperate for minutes and desperate for an opportunity to come on and shine and really prove his talent and prove his worth. And already in a kind of struggling Valencia, as you can see from the results here, he is putting up amazing scores, amazing attack contributions. He's only got one goal to show for it, no assists or anything, but he's completing dribbles, he's completing crosses, he's getting into the box, he's making things happen. And like I said, if you watch La Liga, Samuel Lino is quite easily one of the most exciting players that's coming out of that division this season. Let's see how well Valencia do. I'm pretty sure if they stay high in the table and they really make a memorable season of it, Samuel Lino will be a guy that's grabbing a lot of the headlines. Now, there's not often a lot of players that come out of Barcelona B with like transfer hype around them, but this summer Ferran Jutgla was just that. He'd been absolutely kicking ass and taking names for Barcelona B in a array of kind of mid-range European teams were all kind of vying for his signature. You know, no major teams were kind of coming in for him or whatever. And I think a big part of the reason of that is, well, if you can't even get into the Barca squad, why would like Bayern look at you, or, you know, that kind of idea. So he moved to Bruges, and it must be said he has been a resounding, a wild success since he's been in Belgium. His goals and assists have been through the roof, whether it be in Europe, whether it be domestically. He has really taken to Belgian football like a duck to water. And as we've seen over the years, the Belgian league farms and crashes a lot of amazing talent that then filters throughout the rest of European football. And Ferran Jutgla has got the cut of a predatory striker, a guy that you want in the final third to put away chances in those clinical moments to go on and pick up points towards winning a title, Champions League group matches, that kind of stuff. I think there'll be a lot of people watching this season for Ferran Jutgla with close attention, and if Bruges do anything memorable in Europe, it's very hard to see how he stays in Belgium beyond this season. Now, Sebastian Szymanski was actually really close to a transfer to, I think, maybe Leicester, Seville. There's a lot of kind of prominent teams sniffing around the Polish international coming out of Dynamo Moscow, but in the end, he chose to go to Feyenoord, which actually surprised a lot of people, and a lot of people also thought that was maybe the foreshadowing of Ozcan leaving Feyenoord and maybe going to the Premier League or something like that. But no, he stayed. Szymanski's in, and again, like, I know the Russian league to the Dutch league isn't necessarily a huge step up, but the fact that moving in a lot of the circumstances that have been going around and not really missing a beat, and already Feyenoord have had like a good start to the season. They've built on last season's momentum and success, and yeah, Szymanski's just been coming back from a little injury or a knock recently, but he's definitely somebody who has been on the radar of some big clubs across Europe already. And if he continues this sort of form domestically for Feyenoord, as well as anything that, you know, last season's Conference League finalists can do again this time in European football, Sebastian Szymanski is on for, you know, international credentials as well, and he's definitely a guy that we'll see come up in people's shop windows more and more as this season kind of rolls out. I believe after him showing this kind of step up in class, I feel like the step up in trip with moving into Feyenoord this year. Now, there's been a lot of Portuguese wonder kids floating around Europe for the last like forever, it feels like, and one of the ones that kind of had a lot of hype drives into them with a transfer to the Premier League, with, you've guessed it, Wolves, was Fabio Silva. His transfer fee was absolutely astronomical for the amount of appearances he'd made for Porto, but it was thought that Fabio Silva is going to be better than Felix. He's going to be the biggest thing coming out of Portugal. You know, for one reason or another, it's not really happened for him at Wolves. He's taken the well-trodden path and being loaned into Anderlecht. Now, what do I mean by a well-trodden path? The last 2 seasons, they've had on loan Joshua Zirkzee from Bayern Munich, in the season before that, Lucas Nemeka on loan from Man City, and both of those guys now, you know, are relatively well-known names. So Fabio Silva has come in to Anderlecht, and Anderlecht have been a pretty poor team, it must be said, even though they've had good strikers over the last couple of years. And Fabio Silva isn't really doing much to break the mould, but he's definitely following in the trend. And in his short time in Belgium already, he's been putting defences to the sword and getting goals and assists and raising his confidence game after game. And these type of wonder kid guys, the Belgian league, like we were saying with Ferran Jutgla, is a great creche. It's a great kind of nursery for these players to get first team minutes and experience and really up their game. And Fabio Silva, if he keeps on in this kind of vein, as well as start scoring some proper golazzos that really show his talent off, again, I think he'll be coming back into Wolves next season with a bit of hype that he could maybe add to their first team. Now, as far as potential Ajax players to be sold go, I actually kind of feel pretty bad for David Neres. David Neres came into Ajax a few years ago, and it was thought very quickly he was going to be sold out in a January to like Real Madrid and I think Man United. There was a lot of clubs in for him really quickly after him coming into Europe. He stayed with Ajax, he then went on to semi-finals and they've won some league titles and all that good stuff, but the big transfers have just never came back for him. They've sold Anthony, they've sold a host of other players, and David Neres just really never got a look in this summer. But he's made the move to Benfica. He's basically just went across the board. You know, he's staying at a really big European team in a moderate domestic competition, and in Portugal, being the main man, which he wasn't really getting the opportunity to do at Ajax, especially with them bringing in like Steven Bergwijn, for example. He has been taking his opportunity with both hands and really going for it with assists, with goals, with absolutely everything. Benfica have been imperious under Schmidt this season, and Neres has been a huge part of that. You can tell he's relishing in being the main man, getting great results in European football, as well as doing what they should be doing domestically. And with the big clubs already having this guy on their radar, and for whatever reason they didn't go back for him, I don't know what it would have been, but he is doing absolutely everything to get himself that dream, that Premier move to one of the elite teams in Europe, and especially in Champions League. These are the games where I'm really excited to watch David Neres and Benfica and see what further upsets they can cause throughout this season. I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Let me know down in the comment section down below who you would add into this list. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share and retweet and all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.